I woke up, I grabbed my phone. Everything else was on the bus, my luggage, my passport, water bottle, you name it. And I jumped off the bus and started walking to the bathroom, and the door closed, and the bus left, with me chasing it through the parking lot,
My
waving.
God.
So here I am, somewhere in Brazil.
Welcome to the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Paula, and this is Season 2. On Season 1, I talked to expats about their favourite holiday destination. On Season 2, I'll be doing things very differently. I'll be chatting to expats about where they currently live, why they chose that destination, all those secret hidden gems that only locals know, like favourite restaurants, best neighbourhoods, things that tourists don't. Welcome back to the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Paula, and today I have a special guest, actually a really fun person to travel with, but also a really great guy to tell you a little bit about this style of travel. So let's welcome John Johnston from the Bucket List Things. And let's find out who you are and what you do and where you are right now.
Well, right now I'm in my office in the basement, but I'm actually back in Canada. I live in the middle of wine country in Eastern Canada. And I guess by way of introduction, I'm probably a more mature traveler than a lot of your audience. And I started traveling probably seriously when I was about 50 or so. And when I talk about my website, which is bucketlistthings.com. The way that it all really came about was I was watching a movie with Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson called The Bucket List. And I thought, wow, what a great activity to do. And so what I did was I started writing down a list of all the things on my bucket list. And it turned out that it looked like a list of France, Italy, Spain, Germany. And I thought, well, that's not very good. That's not very exciting. So what I started doing was planning a country and some really cool things to do there that were a little bit unusual, a little bit adventurous, a little bit risky. And so anyways, that became going hot air ballooning over the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, or going to hike the Grand Canyon from rim to rim to rim and coming back. And so each country I've gone to, I've tried to do something that's a little bit different, a little bit unique. And my style of travel is fairly active. I don't usually stay in a place much more than 2 or 3 days. So that's like just a little shell of me. And then, I guess it sounds like I'm traveling all the time, but what I try to do is plan out a trip to see as much of the country as I can and as cheaply as I can, because if I can do a trip less expensively, I can do 5 trips a year instead of 4.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
then, I do some solo travel, probably more than a lot of people do. I do some small group travel, and in fact, I just did an actual tour, which for me is pretty unusual.
Yeah, you don't normally do that. So how was that?
No, it was great. I was probably substantially older than most of the people that were there, but there was about 28 of us. We were on a G Adventures trip through Southern Africa, from South Africa up through Namibia, through Zimbabwe and Botswana, and winding up in Zambia, actually, at Victoria Falls. So,
Wow.
it was about a 21-day tour, some long days on what they call a lando, which is basically a converted overland bus with all kinds of camping gear in it. And so going on a tour is a little bit different because I'm not in control.
Yeah.
Right? I don't control where we go and what we see, but the logistics of getting around Africa, particularly if you've never been there, were pretty intimidating. So it was easier just to join a tour. If I was going to go back, even if I was going to, say, Kenya and Tanzania, I would probably plan my own tour now, because now I've got a feel for what it's like on the ground in that particular country.
Oh, that's good insight.
But normally what I would do is I sort of sit down to plan a trip, and often it's serendipity. I get a really good airfare to some exotic place that I would not normally think of.
Yeah.
and I book it.
Well, that was going to
And
be my question, right? Is that
yeah,
where do you come up with those ideas of those exotic places? Is it you look on the internet and find where an affordable flight and then just book it? Is that what you normally do?
that's pretty much it. There's
Okay.
a couple of services that you can see in the States or in Canada where I'm from, or even others that are based out of the UK or Australasia. But the ones in Canada that I use are IYZ Deals, which is a Toronto-based tour organizer. Not so much a tour organizer as a guy that spends all of his time scouring the internet looking for cheap fares, and then he
Okay.
posts them out. And I use another one called Next Departure, and they're either free or low cost. In the
Yeah.
States, there's one called Scott's Cheap Fares. I think they've changed their name now.
Okay.
But basically, I'll get a notification. And so my most recent one, for example, is I got a notification that there was a airfare to Riga, Latvia
Where in the
for
world is that?
it's in Latvia. It's in the Baltic
Okay.
states up near Sweden and Finland and
Yep.
Norway,
Yep.
just beside Russia. So, it's
Okay.
a little bit intimidating.
Yep.
But the trip was with TAP, the Portuguese airline.
Okay.
So it was in Canadian funds, which are roughly similar to Australian dollars, I think,
Hmm.
right now. It was $540
Wow. Yeah.
round trip,
Wow.
including taxes and fees.
That's pretty good.
But I'm flying from Toronto to Lisbon and then from Lisbon to Latvia.
Okay.
So, and then vice versa coming back. So it's a bit of a longer trip, but now I'm going to Riga. And those Baltic states are pretty close together. So you've got Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania are all really their capitals are within 3 hours drive or
Okay.
4 hours drive from each other. And, I can probably even from Tallinn, which is in Estonia, take a ferry across to Helsinki and get a couple of days in
Oh,
Finland.
nice. And how long do you normally take? Like how long are your adventures normally for?
Normally, I'll go for 3 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
Occasionally, I'll do 2 weeks. But my issue is that if you're spending a lot of money to get there, you may
Just
as well
enjoy it.
see as much as you can. So, for
Yeah.
example, recently I came back from Brazil.
Yeah.
And Brazil's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanted to really see that country, you're going to have to be there 12 to 15 weeks to actually
Okay.
see the country.
Wow.
It's like coming to the United States and saying, I've got 2 weeks. What should I see? You know, okay, well, you know, one day in New York, one day in Chicago, one day in Las Vegas, one day in San Francisco. You'd spend all your time traveling. So I take a little bit longer to amortize that flight. And what I'll try to do is to plan a couple of days, or 2 to 3 days in each location, and then
Mm.
move to the next one. So it's kind of like I curate my own tour.
Okay.
And
And how do you get
go
people
ahead.
to come? How do you get people to come with you? Because sometimes you travel on your own, solo, but who are the people that come with you?
Well, usually what happens is I'll be post somewhere that, oh, I just snagged a great deal to go to Turkey. And all of a sudden I'll get 2 or 3 people emailing me saying, I'd love to go to Turkey. I've always wanted to go to Turkey. Like,
Ah,
can I come?
yeah.
And so a lot of them are, in some cases, women whose husbands hate to travel. My wife hates to travel. So that's why part of the reason I travel solo a lot. But others are single, and single solo women travelers, feel a lot better if somebody's organizing the trip and handling a lot of the logistics and just having somebody there.
Like you did for me.
Yes, we we drove from Toronto to Montreal
We
and then
did.
on to Quebec City. And
Yeah.
I showed you all the garden spots of Quebec, every
You did.
asbestos mine,
Yeah, yeah, you did.
every train wreck site.
Do you know what? That was interesting because I would never have planned that type of trip before. So yeah, I was happy for you to take the reins on that one. And plus you
Well, it
drove,
was
which was
great.
even better. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And but normally somebody would say, I'd like to go. So I now have a travel wives club. And, sometimes they'll go, sometimes they won't. Sometimes there's different people or they bring different friends.
Yep.
And what I try to do is make these trips as economical as possible. So a lot of times when I travel either solo or I travel with a small group, we use hostels. Hostels are no longer for, sort of smelly hippie backpackers. And in fact, I would rather stay in a hostel
Yeah.
than a luxury hotel in many cases. And
Yeah.
now no luxury hotels are going to give me any collaborative deals. But no, I normally will travel using hostels, and if I'm only there for a night, I'll just book a dorm room.
Yeah.
And, but if I'm going to be there a couple of days or there's a group of 4 or 6 of us, we'll rent out the whole dorm or
Yeah.
we'll rent out 3 semi-private rooms. And that reduces our costs substantially
Because I think,
because,
sorry to cut you off there, I think people don't realize you can actually hire rooms. It's not
yeah,
just dorms.
right. In fact, I've probably stayed in 5 or 6 hostels that would rival most 4-star hotels.
Okay.
They've got beautiful rooms, pools, great facilities. But what makes a hostel different is all of the people there are travelers and they're interested in talking to other people about where have you been? What have you done? Where have you gone? How did you like that? Do you want to go out for a beer?
Yeah.
When I go to a hotel, I mean, most people just they're not unfriendly, but
They just keep to
they're there as a
themselves.
couple or
Yeah.
they don't sort of say, hey, let's all go out to a bar and, play
Mm.
pool
Yeah,
and
exactly.
drink. But, so I will do that. And that reduces the overall cost of the trip because we're sharing a car, we're sharing gas.
Mm.
In a hostel, you've got a kitchen.
Mm.
So some days we'll prepare breakfast in the morning, make a lunch to pack to take with us, and then eat out in a restaurant at night. So it reduces our overall food costs and accommodation costs as well.
And most of the people that you travel with, are you all retired?
No, some of them have real full-time jobs and they're taking
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks off to go on the trip, and others are retired, and they don't have the time pressure that somebody working a job has. So about half and half, I would say. Some retired people, and then some people who actually have a job or have or stay at home spouses and so on. But I mean, if I was going, for example, to with a group of 6 and we were going to a particular city and I didn't like the hostels that were there, we'd often just rent an Airbnb
Ah, okay, yeah.
or a villa or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I actually rented an Airbnb in
Mm.
Quebec,
Yeah.
and it was a bit of a unique place.
Yeah, it was weird.
There actually was a light switch on the ceiling.
Yeah, there was literally a light switch on the ceiling. And then there was like a big piece of like stone, is it? Like in the middle of was it the bar? No,
Part of the basement.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
basement. And then there was like the sink and stuff for the bathroom was actually outside of the bathroom. Yeah, it
Well,
was
and
different.
and the shower was lovely because there was a beautiful enclosed glass shower, but the hot water taps, the taps were on the other wall, so you had to turn it on and then get in the shower and then get out to turn it off.
That's
So,
right.
so I mean, you do. We were in Morocco, staying in a hostel,
Yeah.
and 2 of the girls were in their room and they had an attached bathroom, and the problem is the toilet wasn't attached, so
Oh,
one of them sat on the toilet and the toilet fell off this little
oh
pedestal.
no.
So
But
yeah,
that's
it
the fun of
was,
the experiences, right? That's the show.
well, that's what you remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they decided to go and book luxury hotels after that, but it's worked out really well. So sometimes you want to take a tour,
Yeah.
if the logistics are tough and
Yeah.
you're by yourself. Other times, if I'm going through, the Baltic states this time, and if my planning process is really, I've got the flight, so now I'm doing a bit of research on what do I want to see in those countries. And once I've kind of figured that out, like Riga Vilnius, and Tallinn are all UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Oh, nice.
And they are medieval walled cities, some of the best examples of medieval cities in all of Europe.
Oh, nice.
So all of those are on my sort of list of things to go and see.
Is
What
that
I'll
your
then
next
do,
trip? Sorry, is that your next trip?
yeah, that's my next trip in September.
Okay.
So once I understand, okay, where do I want to go? My next issue is, okay, how do I get between these cities? How long am I going to stay in each city? And I rough out an itinerary. And then the next step is, where am I going to stay? So I'll look at each city, I'll evaluate hostels. And in this case, I'm going solo. So I'm looking at dorms or private rooms in hostels. And what I'll look at is, how well ranked is the hostel on, say, Hostel World or Booking.com or Agoda or one of the booking sites. I'll read the reviews. And if a hostel has, say, a 9 out of 10 rating and there's 500 reviews, I can be pretty well assured that that's not a bad hostel to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if it's rated 9 out of 10 and there's only 2 reviews and it looks like their brother-in-law and their sister did the reviews, I kind of avoid those ones. But if a hostel's got 500 reviews and, you know, they say the staff is wonderful, the place is clean, and my criteria is probably different than other people because I don't stay in my room.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be in the social communal areas of the hostel, but usually I'm out of the room. So how nice the room is really doesn't matter a lot to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want it clean, no bugs, good Wi-Fi, and great water pressure and hot water.
Yeah.
And I can live with everything else, right? And one of the things that I look for too is, I want a social hostel, but I don't want a party hostel.
Yeah, was
And
going to be my next question.
yeah, you really have to look at which is which.
Yeah. How do
But
you
I mean,
tell?
well, usually it will say something about a party hostel or noise or something to that effect.
Mhm.
But I mean, I was in what would be considered a party hostel in Siem Reap in Cambodia. And this hostel, it was part of a chain called Mad Monkey.
Mhm.
And their hostels are fabulous. This one looked like a 5-star resort. It had a beautiful pool, nice bar area. And at probably 11 o'clock at night, all of the people that were there said, okay, we're going out bar hopping. And I'm looking at them like, I want to go to bed. You know, it's 11 o'clock. But anyways, I did wind up going bar hopping, and it was a great experience. And you come back and you remember that,
Yeah.
you know. So it's a little bit different. And
Yeah.
of course, you know, it's like kind of going out bar hopping with your grandkids or something. It's all okay. And the other part is I'm probably the only adult in the room. So, and that's if you call me an adult, which many people do not. But I mean, you know, doing this kind of travel is a little bit different. So, for example, I do run into situations that are a bit unusual. So, you know, my most recent trip, I was in Brazil,
Yeah.
and I was going from Sao Paulo to Iguazu Falls.
Mhm.
And I was looking at, well, how do I get there? And I could fly, but there was an overnight bus leaving at 9 o'clock at night, and it got in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it saved me a night's hotel room and a day's travel.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is perfect. And it was a sleeper bus that had these beautiful lie flat sleep chairs in them. And so, you know, I stretched out, I had all my stuff arranged around me, and I finally fell asleep. And I woke up when the bus stopped at a stop and the door opened, and I thought, this is my chance to use the washroom without using the one on the bus. So I woke up, I grabbed my phone. You know, everything else was on the bus, my luggage, my passport, you know, water bottle, you name it.
Yeah.
And I jumped off the bus and started walking to the bathroom, and the door closed and the bus left, with me chasing it through the parking lot,
My
waving.
God.
So here I am somewhere in Brazil. I have
Yeah.
no idea where I am.
Yeah.
and it's 2:30 in the morning,
Oh my gosh.
and all I have is a phone
Yeah.
and no charger.
On. On.
So anyways, with the help of Google Translate, I finally figured out that there was another bus coming through from that company. And when it arrived, it picked me up. And I arrived in Iguazu Falls, and there was the sort of local field agent was standing there with all my luggage, even
Oh,
including my
nice.
glasses,
Oh, wow.
all
That's
my
so
money, my
lucky.
passport,
Wow.
everything. There are great people in the world. I
There
guess the
are.
bus driver had called ahead and said, "Hey, take his stuff off the bus."
Yeah.
But,
What did you
so
learn from that?
what did I learn? Never get off the bus without telling the bus driver where you're going, even if you don't speak the language. You know, you use the universal sign for "I've got to go to the bathroom," and but that was my lesson from that one.
And so, what are you looking to do next? I know you said that September. September's a long way away. So, what does your next trip look like?
Well, first of all, I have to get clearance from my
The
wife that I
boss.
can go off again. Uh, but my next trip that I'd actually like to do, I'd like to go, say, from we have a wedding, so that's in June. But I'd like to fly from here to Newfoundland in Canada
I was going to say,
and
where is
tour
that?
kind of the east coast of Newfoundland. It's an island on the east coast on the Atlantic Ocean. And in June, the icebergs that have calved off the glaciers in the Arctic
Mm.
are floating down past Newfoundland. So it's
Wow.
iceberg season. And you see
Wow.
these enormous icebergs. In some
Wow.
cases, there's seals and so on. But if you've ever seen an iceberg close up, the
No.
cold radiating off of it is simply amazing. They're awe-inspiring.
Oh, wow.
And you can go out in a boat and approach sort of a little bit closer to them if you like. But
That's very cool.
Newfoundland is the most welcoming, hospitable people you've ever seen. And the scenery is very much like Ireland. Some craggy shores and lobster and all kinds of seafood.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I would go down the coast a little bit, and there is a ferry that goes from there to the islands of Saint Pierre and Miquelon.
Okay.
And they are actually French.
Okay.
They're only 20 miles off the coast of Canada,
Yeah.
but they are French overseas departments. So they
Wow.
use the euro, they have gendarmes, they speak French,
That's so
they
weird.
eat baguettes. So
Wow.
it's a great way to go to France without
Yeah.
leaving North America. You do need your passport.
And I guess are you going to drive up there? You're flying up there because it's far,
No,
right?
I'd probably fly.
Yeah.
To drive there would take probably about 20 hours from here.
Yeah, it's
But
far.
the ferry to get over to the island is fully booked at this point.
Oh, okay. So it must be
They
a.
have a large car ferry that goes over, but it's pretty much fully booked for June, July, August.
Okay.
So I would fly in and then rent a car and drive around.
Mhm.
The other one that I'm looking at maybe after the Baltic states in September is sometime November, December time period,
Yeah.
going to Indonesia because I've never been to Bali or
Haven't you? Wow.
Lombok. No, I haven't been to any of those Indonesian countries. And, hopefully if I get a good airfare, that would be one. Or the Philippines, because I
That's
love
also.
going to the Philippines. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also North Vietnam and Laos, because I,
Okay.
I haven't sort of done that part of Vietnam.
Are you going to
But
Kazakhstan?
I decided not to. So I may have to forego my TBEX registration.
Well,
But
just yeah.
the airfare from here is $2,500,
Okay.
and then the a tour to go around Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
I looked up a couple of them with G Adventures.
Yeah.
Is almost $9,000
Wow, that's so expensive.
compared to my African trip was only about $3,000. So if I'm looking at an expenditure of $10,000 or more,
Yeah.
I can do 2 or 3 trips to Europe.
That doesn't
I
make
could
any
go and
sense.
find your house in Sicily.
That's very true. That is very true. I didn't realize it was so expensive. I haven't booked any of my flights or anything, but I am at this stage going. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and actually, I keep looking, and the airfare keeps going up with sort of world events at the
Yeah,
moment.
I know. It's
But
crazy.
I mean, I'd love to go,
Mm.
and I had every intention of going. But if I look at it and say, okay, I can go to the five stands for $10,000 or $12,000,
Mm.
or I could go to the Philippines for a month
Yeah.
for five.
Yeah, doesn't make
You know,
sense. Yeah, doesn't make sense.
so
Which is so how do people find you on the internet? You've got your website and
well, there's my website, which is bucketlistthings.com.
hmm
I'm on Facebook as Bucket List Things
hmm
or John Johnston. I have two.
Yep.
I am on TikTok
Yep.
as Bucket List Things, and I'm on Instagram as Bucket List Things 1 because somebody got in ahead of me,
I'll
right?
put those in the show notes so that people can click on the links and find you.
And let's see what else. I'm on Threads. I'm on YouTube.
Yep.
So I have a little bit of everything. My YouTube channel is probably the least used one, but there is one of my bucket list things was to go to Japan and do the Mario Kart drive through the
Yeah, I've
center
done
of
that.
Tokyo. So I am dressed up in a costume driving a go-kart through downtown Tokyo with
That's
four
very
Ninja
cool.
Turtles.
You know what? When I went, I made the kids dress up. They were not overly impressed, but yeah, we all had our little jumpsuits
Well,
on.
well, I was dressed up too. I was goofy
Oh, were
because
you?
you used to be able to dress as Mario, but Nintendo apparently threatened to sue them, so they had to change it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I
So they
didn't know
use
that.
Disney characters now. I guess Disney hasn't got around to suing them yet.
So before we go, do you have any advice or any tips for anyone that's listening today?
Sure, there's several things that I kind of do when I travel long distances, and people usually say 18 hours or 32 hours on a plane. How do you do that?
Mm,
I have a sort of a plane kit, if you like.
okay.
So I have sound reducing headphones are a
Mm,
godsend.
yeah.
I have two pillows, one that goes sort of behind my back. They're inflatable pillows, and one for my neck when I lean against the side of the plane. I have a face mask, like a sleep mask,
Yeah.
and I get on the plane and I have two scotches and two melatonins, and then I put all my stuff on and pull the blanket up, and I'm gone for 6, 7, 8 hours. I have no trouble sleeping on planes.
I just find the next morning I wake up sore. That's all. I'm getting old.
Well, the only problem I have now with passenger loads the way they are,
Yeah.
I'm usually like this in my
Yeah.
seat,
Yeah.
which is tough. I
Let's just
guess
say he was squashing himself. For those people who can't see you and can only hear you, you're squashing yourself in between. Do you pick your seat? You are like are
I
you an aisle
I
person
do.
or a window? Yeah.
I'm a window person,
Okay.
but usually I'm able to kind of hold it for 8, 10 hours, so I'm not waking people up and clambering over top of them and disturbing the whole plane.
Yeah.
I think another bit of advice is to look at some of the apps that are out there. Rome de Rio is one of my favorites
Yeah.
for getting around. A lot of people haven't encountered it before.
Yeah.
There's another one called Ferry Hopper that I use to get around the Greek islands and a little bit in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So some of the apps are out there and some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else. For hotels and hostels, I use Hostel World and Booking predominantly. In the Far East, I use Agoda.
Okay.
And what else? I spend a lot of time researching. So, the
It's
more you
half the
can
fun.
find out, yeah, it's is half the fun. And the more you can find out, the more when you get there, you know what to look for.
Yeah.
But I'm always eager to sort of find locals who can tell you other things that you might want to go and see
Mm,
that they think are very interesting.
mm.
And I've found some really great experiences just chatting with local people in a restaurant.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice, especially if you're traveling on your own. It's very good
Yeah.
advice. Thank you, John, for coming on. It's been great catching up. It's always fun chatting to you. So yeah, thank
Well,
you so.
I hopefully I didn't like lower your audience by
Don't be silly.
500. All of a sudden your statistics go right down.
No,
I
it's
mean,
completely.
me and my
Sorry.
12 followers will all watch you.
Honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a laugh with you. But yeah, I will speak to you soon anyway. But for
All right.
now, see you later.
We'll
Bye.
talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining me on the Truly Expat Travel Podcast. If you liked this episode and you found it valuable, then why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode moving forward. I've got some amazing guests and some fantastic destinations coming up. But if this is the episode and this is the destination that you really want to go to, then I suggest you head over to trulyexpattravel.com where you'll find travel guides and deep dive into this sort of destination. If that's not what you want and you can't find an episode that is a destination you want to travel to, then head over and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok because I'm pretty sure you'll find something there. In the meantime, safe travels, and I'll see you next week.